kids! Today in Bible videos, we're going to learn about the story of how King Solomon's temple looked on the outside. Are you ready to learn more about it? So let's get started. Building on the temple began in the 4th year of Solomon's reign, and it took 7 years to build. The site of the temple was on the eastern of the two hills on which Jerusalem was built, also known as Mount Moriah. And Solomon spared no expense in the construction. He ordered vast quantities of cedar wood from King Hiram of Tyre and had huge blocks of the choicest stones quarried. Over 1,086 talents of gold from Ophir were used along with million talents of silver. Solomon had 70,000 carriers and 80,000 stone cutters in the hills, as well as 3,300 foremen who supervised the project and directed the workmen. 2 courts surrounded the temple. The inner court was separated from the space beyond by a wall of 3 courses of hewn stone surmounted by cedar beams. It contained the altar of burnt offering, the molten sea laver, and 10 other lavers. And the great court surrounded the whole temple. It was here that people assembled to worship. A large part of the limestone of which the temple was built came from quarries in the immediate neighborhood of Jerusalem. The stones were cut, hewn, and polished at the quarries, so that the sound of any hammer, axe, or metal tool was never heard in the house while it was being built. The temple faced east, and internally the dimensions were in length and width double those of the tabernacle. Those are 60 cubits long by 20 cubits wide. And the height of the temple was 30 cubits, 3 times that of the tabernacle. And a cubit was approximately 46 centimeters, so these measurements are close estimates. Around the temple, on its 2 sides and at the back, there were 3 stories of storage chambers, each story being 5 cubits in height, and the door admitting into these chambers was in the middle of the right side of the house, and winding stairs led up to the 2nd and 3rd stories. The porch was 20 cubits wide and 10 cubits deep. Its height was 120 cubits. 2 bronze pillars stood in front of the porch, and they were 18 cubits in height and 12 cubits in circumference. And these pillars were richly ornamented with designs of pomegranate, lilies, and chained meshes. And at the entrance of the temple were folding doors overlaid with gold, with their lintels 5 cubits width. And all the doors had hinges of gold. And there were 10 bronze basins in the inner court, 5 on the south and 5 on the north sides of the temple. They were used to wash the sacrifices. These bronze basins stood on square paneled bases to which wheels were attached. Their sides were decorated with figures of lion, oxen, and cherubim with wreathed work beneath. And a new feature in the southeast corner of the inner court, taking the place of the laver in the tabernacle, was an immense basin of bronze called the molten sea. It was 5 cubits high and 10 cubits in diameter at the brim, and 30 cubits in circumference, resting on 12 bronze oxen. And the oxen faced the 4 cardinal points of the compass, 3 looking each way. The bronze oxen faced the 4 cardinal points of the compass, 3 looking each way. The molten sea, like the laver, supplied the water for the washing of the priest's hands and feet. And the most prominent object in the temple court was the altar of burnt offering or brazen altar. It was 20 cubits square with steps leading up to it. The altar was built on the site of the threshing floor that David had purchased from Araunah, and this altar in the courtyard was used for the many animal sacrifices that were brought to the temple. When completed, the temple was dedicated to God in prayer by Solomon and worship led by choirs and musicians. The temple was filled with the glory of the land, and it was followed by lavish sacrifices and a 2-week feast. The end. And I hope you had fun learning the story of how King Solomon's temple looked on the outside. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more Bible videos. Bye.